Okay, good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing tonight? It's November 5th, 6:30 p.m. Here in the Yvonne C. Butler Council Chambers, 700 Paris Avenue. We're here. First meeting for the night is going to be for the Town of Port Royal, our public hearing. The purpose of that is 3 ordinances. I'll go through them one by one. First up is 2025-17, an ordinance to amend Ordinance 1-11, Chapter 2, Article 2, Division 1, Section 2028, compensation of the Town of Port Royal Code of Ordinances for the purposes of amending council compensation. Is there anyone that would like to be heard on that? Okay. Hearing none. Up next is 2025-18, an ordinance to amend Article 1, 7, 8, 9, and 10 of the Development Code of the Town of Port Royal, South Carolina. Is there anyone that would like to be heard on Ordinance 2025-18? Hearing none, we'll move to the third and final, 2025-19, an ordinance to repeal Ordinance 25-11 and to amend the business license ordinance of the Town of Port Royal to adopt the most current business license class schedule as required by Act 176 of 2020. Is there anyone that would like to be heard on that? Okay. Anything from council on these 3?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. With that being said, that closes our public hearing. And now we're moving right into our council workshop. Starting off the council workshop, we actually have 2 presentations tonight. Up first is the update to animal control. We've got Mr. John Robinson and Mr. Dylan Kidd. If you could please come on down. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here very much.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks so much for having us. I am John Robinson. I'm the Assistant County Administrator for Public Safety for Beaufort County. And with me tonight is Dylan Kidd. He's our Deputy County Attorney. So what we're going to discuss just for a few moments today is the amendments we made to Beaufort County Animal Ordinance. It's Chapter 14. It's called Animals. So you will see on the board here, and maybe in your backup material, what we produced for you is the red line version, so you could see the changes and the additions. So you'll see anything in the ordinance that was removed, it has a strike through and highlighted, and anything that was added is highlighted and underlined. So there's throughout the ordinance, there's lots of small changes. So I'm going to discuss a few things, a few areas tonight. And then Dylan's going to get up and talk about a few other specific areas, as he spends a lot of time in court and working with the magistrate judge, so he is the expert in those areas. I'm going to talk with you about sections 1426, 1435, 1432, 34, and 47. So the first section, 1426, is our definitions. Anytime you're looking at an ordinance and you change things throughout the ordinance, you always find this need to add more language, more definitions to clarify things that have happened throughout the year. We learn best from our mistakes, so we try to correct those when we look at those. So one of the things that you'll see in there is the definition of adverse weather. The adverse weather definition is really related to another section than ordinance, is 1435, which is animal cruelty and neglect. Now, why that neglect portion is important and why we had to add the adverse weather. Animal cruelty and neglect, there's a portion in that neglect area that discusses animals being left out or livestock being left out during, it used to say named storms. So it was specific to a named storm. Now it says adverse weather. So we had to add that definition of adverse weather. And some of that is some of the things we learned in that most recent snowstorm. Animals that were tethered outside and could not weather that storm. We had to go and visit homes and ask folks to care for their animals. So you'll see some of those kinds of things in there. One of the other concerns in 1435 when it comes to neglect and in the animal cruelty section has to do with evacuation. So in the event that we have a named storm that requires evacuation, it is prohibitive for folks that run small farms and have a number of livestock to move that livestock into a safe area. that could be considered neglect under that code. And in some ways, it's very important that we make sure that animals left behind do have a way to be cared for. So you will see some changes in that section that allows for those owners of livestock or small farms to work along with the animal services to make sure those animals are cared for properly, should the owner or caregiver of those animals have to evacuate. Things like places in higher ground, different types of elevation, different types of prevention or protective covering that they can have, or leaving another farm hand behind to make sure the animals are properly cared for. So some things like that. Next, I'll move into the habitual nuisance. This is referenced to a change in section 1434. So this also has to do with pets or livestock and the rights of citizens. This has to do with, it could be hunting dogs that bark all day and keep your neighbors awake, or roosters that bleat during the day and are disruptive to the neighborhood, or any type of that nuisance animal, domestic animals. So we're talking cats and dogs or livestock, domesticated animals that disrupt disrupt the neighbors, your neighborhood, or threaten the safety of others, interfere with ordinary use of your property, those kinds of things. So you'll see that in the ordinance as well, those changes. A section that Dylan will discuss is 1432. The definition that goes along with that one is injury and bodily injury. So this has to do with levels of dangerous dogs. This levels of dangerous dogs is one of the most significant changes in the ordinance, as it affects how we adjudicate dangerous dogs in the ordinance, and how it offers some relief to citizens whose dogs have been deemed dangerous. There is a way for those citizens to be able to come back to the court and remediate that decision at some point, so it doesn't become a dangerous dog for its life. So Dylan will discuss that a little bit. The next section, or I think the most important section that I have left to talk about, is tethering. So tethering, our previous ordinance allowed for tethering, and that is the tethering of an animal with a rope or chain or cable from that animal's collar or their security device to another stationary object. The industry best practice is not to do that any longer. As we find in more urbanized areas, that behavior is not consistent with the public's intention. All right. So what we have done in this section, 1447, is prohibit tethering. And in place of the prohibition for tethering, I know I'm skipping all over the place. On page 16.
You're way off your script. Okay.
I'm feeling bad for Van because he's trying to keep up with me at this point. So this is on page 6, or page, did I lose it?
I've got it up there.
Yeah. Tethering. So what we allow in place of tethering is what's called a trolley system. So many of you might have seen something like this. Perhaps it looks like a clothesline, but it is a cable or some fixture that goes from two places, has a trolley in the middle that's able to run back and forth, and a tether to that trolley. And it gives an animal that is tethered outside, for the protection of the neighborhood and to keep the confinement of the animal safe and those types of things, it gives them a little more freedom of movement. So when we find those cases, right now we have our 4 animal services officers who go out in the field. They don't go out and write a ticket as soon as they see that. We begin by offering some education, and we offer those devices to them. So we have a partner that donates funds to Beaufort County Animal Services. We use some of those funds to purchase these tethering devices. We take them to folks' homes. We ask them, we educate them on the ordinance, and then we help them make sure we install that device for them. So this should not be a burden to our residents to meet this. That is our intent. Any questions about those points?
No, I just want,
Yes, sir.
No, I'm fine. I
Okay.
understand. But people can't chain their dog up outside their house.
They should not.
They should not.
It-
Who enforces that? I mean, what do you?
Our animal control, so either, most what happens is someone will drive by and see an animal
And they'll
tethered in
call
that
in.
way,
Okay.
or a neighbor will make a report, and our animal services officers will follow up on that report,
Okay.
meet with sometimes it's a phone call. Sometimes it takes a little time to get in touch with the owner, and then we'll educate and help them find a way to become in compliance.
I remember years ago, there used to be chain-free Buford.
Yes.
Yes, yeah,
Without
for
a
sure.
And that was kind of along the lines of this.
Right.
Okay. I'm with you. I got it.
Thank
you.
you. So Dylan is going to talk about the dangerous dogs and the levels of dangerous dogs.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So, as John mentioned, my name is Dylan Kidd. I'm a deputy county attorney for Beaufort County, and one of my duties is to prosecute the civil animal control cases, along with criminal code enforcement, all types of those. We have an arrangement with the sheriff's office attorneys where they prosecute the criminal animal control matters. So, what I'm going to be talking to you about today, Section 1432, is our process by which we deem dogs dangerous within Beaufort County. And that is a civil determination. It follows the dog. It is not a criminal penalty that the owner faces. The owner is simply required to undertake a series of steps to protect the public from a dog that's been deemed dangerous. And we have that set forth starting here with our new Section A. So when I started just about a year and a half ago prosecuting these cases, and the way it was that it was completely binary, right? So the dog is dangerous or it is not. And there was a list of criteria, and if the dog had demonstrated that kind of behavior, it was an automatic yes from our animal control officers to get it to court, and then it was an automatic yes from the magistrate judge to deem the dog dangerous. And once it was deemed dangerous, it's dangerous forever. There was no process by which you could go back and revisit that, and there was no way of demonstrating that there should be mitigation. So what we tried to do through this rewrite, and as you'll see from all the strike-throughs, it is very much a rewrite, is to give a mechanism for folks to come back and demonstrate that they have ameliorated some of the behavior and that their dog is no longer a threat to the public. And we also wanted to differentiate between certain types of behavior because it was all the same under the prior ordinance. So you'll see here with the level 1 behavior, that's typically an animal that's going to menace, chase, or display threatening or aggressive behavior. Under the old system, that is the same as the most serious, the level 3 behavior, which is an animal that causes significant injury or death. So those were treated the same in prior cases. And so what we wanted to do was to be able to spread those out and to recognize that, quite frankly, a lot of the cases we see, the animal owners could benefit from just some basic education and precautions and training that could be taken, and their dogs could be rehabilitated, as we say. So our process typically begins with our animal services officers receiving a call, be it for a bite or any other type of behavior. They'll respond to the location and interview the victim and ultimately the owner, and they will perform an assessment of the dog. They assess the dog's behavior to determine whether it is demonstrating behaviors that concern them from a safety standpoint. The animal services officer, as you'll see in that section B there, what we also wanted to do was to add layers of discretion. Our animal services officers are very experienced and very good, and they understand, I think, pretty well which animals pose a threat as opposed to which ones that don't. So we gave them the discretion to say they don't have to classify a dog as potentially dangerous, which is the first step. We send a petition for a potentially dangerous dog to the magistrate court, and then the magistrate court ultimately makes that determination. But under that section B, if the animal services officer determines that for some reason the dog should not be petitioned as potentially dangerous, they have the discretion not to do so, and that was a change from the prior ordinance. So as far as the revisitations, that starts in paragraph D there. I should point out first that once a dog is deemed potentially dangerous, and if a dog is ultimately deemed dangerous, no matter the level, the confinement requirements are the same, and they are the same as under the old ordinance where they have to be in a kennel with 3 sides and a roof. They have to be secured on a leash of length no longer than 6 feet when out in public. They have to wear a muzzle when they're in public. There is an insurance provision, and there is a registration with the county. Those are your typical 5 steps. They are the same when a dog has been deemed dangerous. The difference is that for level 1 or level 2 dangerous dogs, the owner has the ability to come back to the magistrate court and petition the magistrate court after 1 year to have the dog reevaluated. And for level 3, the most dangerous, that's serious injury or death of a domestic animal or a person, then the waiting period is 5 years. But the confinement requirements remain the same. It's just the ability to come back and demonstrate to the magistrate judge and ultimately get the judge to potentially rescind that determination if they feel it is appropriate. We have not had one of those yet. This just went into effect for us on August the 11th. I've had quite a few cases under the new system, and what I really like is that it feels like we're getting to the right result more often. You'll see under the, because we also added a similar discretionary provision for the magistrate judge, wherein, so that's going to be section H5. So the magistrate judge also has the discretion to deem the animal dangerous or not dangerous, and therefore also adjust the levels to what is appropriate based on a given animal's behavior. Obviously, the defendant has every opportunity to come to the court hearing, give their side of the story, tell the judge about any efforts they've made to secure the dog or ameliorate the behavior or get training or anything like that. And all of these things are taken into account when our magistrate judge is making a determination and assigning a level, and therefore allowing the dog to be reevaluated within either 1 or 5 years. And then the rest of this is largely cleanup and making sure that we are consistent across the rest of the Section 1432. Section 1434 does deal with some nuisance animal provisions, and that's the animal noise, and John kind of went through some of that. We have a new process there, and about habitual nuisance as under 1427. We haven't had one of those yet, but it is that was a long overdue cleanup for that section about nuisance animals. So I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all may have about 1432 or anything else within our new animal ordinance.
You said the owner has an opportunity after a year to come back before you to prove that the dog has redeemed itself, so to speak. Is that by word of mouth, or does he have to, thank you, or do they have to provide some type of proof or documentation showing that they've had this dog in some type of obedience training or something? Because I'll come back and tell you, oh, my dog's good now, and he's not exhibited any type of aggressive behavior, and then the minute he turned it back, he's mauled someone again.
Yes, sir. So as I mentioned, we haven't had one of them yet. There are not criteria for what you have to show the court when you bring it back after a year. Mm-hmm. But in what we discussed and what we tell folks as far as bringing it back to the court is that you have to show some sort of steps that were taken. And generally that takes the form of, I know we've had multiple cases where they've come into the hearing and shown us that they have obtained training. They've, certain sessions of training with a certain owner. And so we do, once we have some, we will certainly push for evidentiary proof to allow the judge to rescind that, or to recommend that the judge rescind the designation if they are inclined to do so.
Good, because my dog is fine. My dog doesn't bite, and then a minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will certainly be seeking some evidence, because it will be, again, they're petitioning the courts. They're going back in front of the magistrate court, so it would be another adversarial proceeding where they are stating their case to the judge, and then the county is stating whether they agree with that determination or not, based on the underlying circumstances of the event and any evidence that was presented to the court as far as the petition for redetermination.
Thank you.
Councilman Ashmore?
No, I'm good, thank you.
I got, just for my own curiosity, how often are you in court on these dog cases?
So we have terms of court once per month, and it is the second Monday of every month in Bluffton. That has changed. So next Monday I'll be in Bluffton, and the second Wednesday of every month in Beaufort Magistrate Court.
And that docket is just to handle dog cases?
It is animal cases, and then there are some code enforcement cases mixed in there. We do have, so a frequent occurrence is that the sheriff's office will have some cases pertaining to running at large, which is actually a criminal offense because it's aimed at the owner of the dog. If you're off leash where you're not supposed to be, that's charged as running at large, which is a misdemeanor citation. So we'll have a bunch of those. Oftentimes, I will have a dangerous dog, and because the dog bit, it was necessarily off a leash. So we will work in conjunction and have those as well.
So you're a couple times a month?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. What do you say, Councilman?
You mentioned something earlier about dangerous dogs and so forth, because I know there are a couple of dogs that some insurance companies will not insure. Have you, is that listed in here, those dogs that you deemed as being dangerous?
No, so we don't make
So
a.
you, I guess because you don't want to show prejudice or bias towards a
Yeah.
particular species of dogs?
Yes, sir. We don't, now there is the breed restriction as to pit bulls is in a different section within this, and that's something
Well, I
we've
didn't want to
had.
say that name, but that's what I was
Sure,
alluding to.
sure. But that is about the restrictions requiring that they be spayed or neutered. And that's been a part of the county scheme for quite some time, just because our shelter being entirely full, we don't have the ability to take on any additional numbers on that. And I know John has got a lot of experience with that as well.
Dylan got that right. That's really important. So it's not that the breed-specific prohibition has to do with the number of pit bulls that are just bred too much. Our shelter is full of them, and our communities are full of them. They are great animals. They can be great animals, but we just have too many pit bulls. And there are a lot of insurance companies or in apartment complexes that do have restrictions on some of those types of animals. Our ordinance does not have a breed-specific prohibition for animals, only that breed-specific prohibition for spay and neuter requirements.
Can, would you say the majority of these, when you're going to court, when you're getting a case, are these coming from, I don't know, percentage-wise, or the majority of them are, I think you called them animal service officers? Are they driving around and looking for infractions, or are these people calling on people? Is this people turning this in? How are these, what's the majority of these, how they initiate?
Most of the time when I'm getting cases, it's an event that happened. It is a bite. It is something of that nature that causes the victim to call animal services and go out there. They get a whole lot of calls every single day, so they are constantly out and responding to incidents
I can talk
across the
about
board.
that for a second.
Yes,
So
you can.
in the animal services office, right in our front office, we have animal services dispatchers.
Gotcha.
They are constantly on the phone and on the radio in communication with our officers in the field. So during normal working hours and then after hours, there's an emergency number that's called.
Okay.
Or someone calls the Beaver County Dispatch Center, that gets routed through to the on-duty animal services officer. So a lot of times it is a neighbor,
Yeah.
or it is someone that was injured and needs that service, like Dylan said. It's a very busy place.
So I do have a question. Because I've experienced this and I don't know what to do. What if somebody's out there working, mowing the yard, weed eating, or whatever, and gets attacked by a dog? What happens after that? What's the process? What should they do?
So the first thing is call 911.
Okay?
So you can use the 911 system. You will get your local law enforcement response, because this becomes a public safety issue immediately.
Okay.
That hazard needs to be mitigated by whatever means necessary. So whether that, and also that would initiate fire department and EMS for medical care, and the police department immediately to respond to that, as well as our animal service officers will respond. We work very closely with the Beaver County Sheriff's Office. Nearly every time our officers go to a home to mitigate a situation where there is a perceived threat, our animal service officers carry OC spray for dogs. They're going to make sure they have an officer standing by or along with them for their safety and for the safety of the public as well. So in your case, first thing to do is just call 911 and get some responders coming to you.
Thank you, John.
And I'll ask really quick, not about dogs, but some other questions, if I may, with
Absolutely.
animal control, because these are the phone calls we get at the town. And just if you could kind of direct us and who handles this and where to send citizens. Alligators.
Yes, so we've, just as part of this whole process. We presented to the city, and we presented, I know that the town of Hilton Head is on their timeline for getting these implemented as well. And I say that to say, we have considered some other potential amendments, and some of them pertaining to wildlife. The reason we don't have wildlife in this animal ordinance is because it was confined to domestic animals or livestock. So generally speaking, wildlife concerns bring in DNR to some extent. And that's
Good to know.
yeah, our animal services officers don't currently, I would say, have the ability to respond to that kind of situation. So we generally resort
So
to DNR.
DNR is wildlife. This in the county is more domestic animals.
Domestic animals and livestock, yes, sir.
So would the individual call 911 in that case? And they would contact DNR, or who does somebody call?
Well, so, depends on the situation. So,
Okay.
an alligator is a threat to the public.
Right.
That's probably the right thing to do, is to use the 911 system,
Right.
identify that threat, and make sure that we can mitigate that threat for the public. And then, now what the state can do and what DNR will do versus what the county will do, as Dylan said, we're gonna focus on domestic animals and livestock. DNR mostly does not focus on wildlife, but on the treatment of wildlife, more so hunters, all right? So when we talk about this wildlife, that's often referred to a wildlife management company. So a private citizen
Right.
who runs a business that is licensed to manage that, and their license is managed through the state, through DNR.
Gotcha.
And as Dylan said, we continue to have conflicts between that urban interface with animals
Sure.
as we continue to grow and our housing takes up their habitat. So we certainly have had lots of conversations about how the county can work on a wildlife management ordinance with really strong guardrails, because the management of wildlife is a big problem and a big
Yeah.
expense
Yeah.
to manage, and can get out of control quickly.
Gotcha.
So we're exploring those opportunities,
Yeah.
but we're a ways away from getting something done.
Yeah, I think it's good just to get the information out there, what people do in those situations. What about raccoons? Same
Similar,
thing,
yes,
DNR,
yes,
okay.
Uh,
yeah.
Coyotes.
Coyotes?
Kids, hogs, all,
cats.
anything.
Yes, we do have a specific provision in the new ordinance for management of feral cat colonies. So that's set forth within there,
Okay.
the procedures there. But everything else, I think so far we've
Okay,
mentioned. is-
great. Like I said, I just
DNR.
wanted to get, just to, people are watching online, just to
Yes,
get
sir.
that information out. I would say that's the three that we hear the most about, alligators, raccoons, and cats, probably,
Sure.
so.
Thank you for that, man.
Yeah.
You see
Just
what he
wanted-
put up?
Mhm.
Kinda, go ahead.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
the
it does.
alligator is simply on the bank or in the water and retreats at the present human, they're not gonna remove it. Which I agree.
Well,
It must pose an immediate threat to human life. Okay.
Well, we are happy to assist y'all in any way we can
Yeah.
in terms of moving forward with this, and any amendments you may like to see when in implementing your own or incorporating ours by reference. But anything we can do to help, we're
and
always
thank
happy
y'all
to.
for being here. I think that's great that, like you said before, the dangerous dog was just binary, dangerous, not dangerous. And this kind of adds, how people feel about their dogs, and it adds options that they can, they can kind of bring that dog back to not just being dangerous and getting that. So that's very thoughtful,
Clarity.
yeah.
Believe in second chances for dogs as well.
That was very thoughtful, yes, sir. So,
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you
Thank
all.
y'all very much. Have a great
Appreciate
night.
it.
Thanks, John, good to see you.
Yep.
Okay. All right. From animals to stormwater. Up next, we got 4 waters on the stormwater master plan.
And here's the manual, we're gonna start on page 1.
Okay, great. You keep up with it?
Man, I have a clicker. All right.
Dan said I've had enough.
All right, we'll get started here. I'm Michael Klink with Four Waters Engineering. I'm here to talk about the Town of Port Royal Stormwater Master Plan east of Battery Creek. You can see from 3 photos up there. The first one is West Paris into Paris Avenue. We have just completed, or in the process of finalizing the project closeout for that, and that does not happen anymore, so we got that corrected.
Thank you.
The next one is Madrid, which we can talk about further as we get into the presentation. And the next is the Villages, which we just received bids on today to help out that particular resident as well. All right. So the Stormwater Master Plan assesses status of existing stormwater system and plans for capital improvements with established level of service. This particular master plan focused on east of Battery Creek, as you can see in the shaded yellow. It did not include the Naval Hospital as they handle their own stormwater system. The approximate area is a little bit over 1,100 acres, and the majority of this was funded by RIA grant. Our tasks included data collection, stormwater GIS database, existing conditions model, proposed model, a stormwater master plan document. That's document right there. So quite a bit of data analysis and coordination and review with
Take your
town
word.
staff.
There will be a test.
So the first step is establishing a level of service. We followed the Beaufort County guideline, which includes evacuation routes passable for 100-year. Such roads for that would be Reboat Road and Ladies Island Drive, the major evacuation routes. Other roads would be passable for the 25-year, which are larger roads such as Paris Avenue, Waddell Road, Old Shell Road, those type of roads. And then reviewing buildings protected from flooding during a 100-year, 24-hour storm event, which FEMA also, there's FEMA maps for those as well. Go to the next slide. As mentioned, the first task was data collection. Data collection included desktop inventory, which included as-built and design drawing review, basically taking all that data and putting it into one location for town staff and others to view. Field inventory is next, which is the field data collection for data gaps from the desktop analysis. That's someone physically going out there and picking up inlets and swales and mapping everything. It's basically taking all knowledge and putting it in one place for anybody to look at it for years to come. And then the final is survey. Survey information was more specific for establishing the existing conditions model and helping with figuring out the problems in the town east of Battery Creek. From all this data, we created a stormwater GIS database, which has such as material size, type, elevations, the length of it, where the source came from, either it was from survey, as-built, or field verified. And then there's also ownership on it, if it's the towns, if it's Beaufort Counties, DOT, or private entities, which helps the town understand what their obligations are with O&M. As you can see, it's quite a bit of inventory here. You have almost 12 miles of pipes, almost 20 miles of ditches and swales, over 2,800 culverts. Culverts would be like where driveways are and across major roadways. Over 700 structures, 44 ponds, and 24 outfalls.
What would be a structure?
Structure would be a manhole or an inlet or yard.
Like
inlet.
type 16 drain or something, that's a structure.
Yep.
Okay. 44 ponds in that area. Is that what I'm saying? Wow.
Yep. The modeling methodology. So we take all this data and create an existing model. The model that we use is a stormwater model, which is FEMA approved. It's a 1D framework that includes the ponds, the inlets, the manholes, the control structures, swales, all that data. And you create subbasins. In this particular analysis, there's 59 subbasins, and they kind of go from the outfalls and then go inward. Those are the 59 basins. There's nodes and modeling stuff that I can go into more detail later if you'd like. But really what we're looking at is the major transmission and collection system. It's hard to pinpoint localized flooding in a model that is modeling over 1,100 acres of land. So you have to be selective on what you're modeling to try to find the problem. Composite curve numbers were created, and those were created by digitizing impervious and pervious areas. So this whole area, we digitized buildings and garages and driveways and roads, and we use that data in order to get a more accurate model. Time of concentration is also looked at. It's basically when the raindrop falls and the longest length that it goes to the outfall. The rainfall that was looked at were 24-hour storms, which included, this is from the Soloco manual. We looked at the 10-year 24-hour storm, 25-year 24-hour storm, 100 and 500. Those are the inches for that storm event. So over for a 24-hour period, it rains 6.9 inches. That's a 10-year event. And it's assuming that 10-year event happens once in every 10 years.
Gotcha. How can we be certain of that 500-year event?
But
I'm just,
there is a resilience.
it's more a rhetorical question. Van could probably answer that.
Yep.
No.
One thing to note for the area that was under analysis, 85% of the soils in this area are classified as A. A is has great infiltration, and D would be more poor infiltration, such as clay soils. So for this area to have almost majority of it as A soils is great. A lot of the rainfall that's coming in is going into the ground versus running off and creating problems. So that was the modeling methodology. The next is setting up the existing condition stormwater model. We're looking for high priority areas, such as the evacuation routes and the roads, to allow for review in any deficiency areas that could be issues with passable during evacuation routes. For the existing model, we look at similar rain events. The most recent rain event that was a good one to use was Debbie. Debbie, over a 24-hour period, is equivalent to a 25-year storm event. You guys may have gotten more rain over multiple days that kind of put it into a different category. But the way that we analysis with the 24-hour period, we try to match the same elevations so we know that we're doing the existing model correctly. From the existing model, we are identifying deficiencies that help us pinpoint the proposed model and how to improve those. These are some pictures from Debbie on the left-hand side there, where we have survey elevations that we're matching with the model to try to be as accurate as we can. One point at the bullet point at the end is the localized flooding. Some areas of flooding not captured just due to constraints of how large scale this is. And a lot of times it's still covered in the stormwater master plan. And we're getting those from complaints and we're logging those, and then we're talking about how to address those. So from the existing conditions model, these are the identified problematic areas. The red and the purple are kind of they're higher areas of concern that, something should be done. Some of the areas need further information, such as to the west there, right off of the bridge. There's more coordination required with DOT to see if there's an actual issue at that location. The yellow is for triggered 100-year storm events. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's flooding occurring at the buildings or at houses. It's just at the stage that we identify in the model, it's just triggered that, hey, this area could be vulnerable. And it should be looked at and just kind of be aware of it. From the existing model, we create a proposed model to figure out what, from the issues that were found, and how to make improvements for those. These were the 7 basins identified that had some issues that we dove into a little bit more on the capital improvements. And then we ranked these as high, medium, or low. The project priority rankings were based on citizen flooding complaints, health and safety, impacts to evacuation routes or local roads, disruption to businesses, potential for joint venture or other public or private entities, ease of implementation, and potential for grant funding. The 4 basins that I'm going to cover are listed above that have the 3 high and the medium will be the ones that we cover in this presentation. The first basin to go into a capital improvements project based on the analysis that we did is Basin 19, Subbasin 8B. This is the Casablanca Circle, Hillside, Waddell Road area. It appears when things were first built that Waddell Road might have kind of cut through an existing wetland. You can see it up the upper top. And then Reboat Road, same thing. And that's kind of what happened with Cypress Wetland with the different grid system, and then we were able to connect them, project 15, 20 years ago to reconnect that. So this particular area is somewhat landlocked. The preserve is another location where it may have flown that way back in the day as well. So in this area during heavy rain events, there could be issues because the water just has nowhere to go. And really what's, where there's a concern is if there's back-to-back-to-back rain events in this area. Because of the sandy soils, it does eventually infiltrate into the ground. But this is an area of concern that could help alleviate that by a pipe system. And just some points on this: would mitigate flooding for residents, the connecting landlocked areas to wetland or tributary outfalls as it naturally once did. Improvements to the drainage for the public works site. This area has potential for grant funding, and estimated at $2.6 million for this. Basin 14 is the Madrid Avenue, 9th Street, 10th Street area. This area is tidally influenced, and I think you typically see it around the Madrid 9th Street curve where it floods. The pond is just getting inundated with water tidally or from the incoming flows, and it kind of goes out that one inlet on the corner there. Some improvements for this would be to modify the outfall structure, install a waste stop valve, which is, there's a picture of it. It's basically like a check valve, allows water to go one way but not come back into the system. Since this is tidal, that would prevent that. And there also might be dredging on the pond necessary for this location. This is a lower cost of $210,000 is the estimate on that cost. This also has potential grant funding for this area as well. Basin 1 is the Reboat Road, Piggly Wiggly area. There's a lot of stakeholders involved with this particular improvements, including the city of Beaufort and DOT. Essentially in this area, we're finding that the pipes need to be upsized. However, there's more coordination and data required to fully create this capital improvements plan, but with an upsize in this area of the pipes would roughly be around $2.3 million for this project. This is more of a medium because it involves more stakeholders and more analysis to confirm that this evacuation route is being impacted. This is just covering the implementation plan. These are the 7 criterias if you become an MS4 in order for your NPDES permit. The town is in good shape. They've done a lot of these already, especially with this stormwater master plan. These are just the 7 criteria, major storm system improvements. We're making improvements as, right now currently. We've done the inventory and mapping for the east of Battery Creek. At some point, hopefully, we can get a grant to do the west side. Regular inspections that are going, education and public outreach. I think that's partnered with Beaufort County. Development review and construction oversight. As development's going on, we're doing plan reviews and construction inspections during construction. Post-development inspection and water quality are some other items that eventually will be factored in. Takeaways, the town of Port Royal has higher elevations and majority of A soils, so a lot of infiltration, which helps with flooding issues. Even if there are flooding issues, the recovery is quicker because it's going into the ground. The Cypress Wetlands area is an excellent natural BMP that's been developed and then reconnected from previous projects. And just the continued effort that the town's doing on stormwater improvement projects, such as West Paris, Villages, Paris Avenue. So that is my presentation. If you have any questions?
That's lot of information.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's very detailed. Thank you. You did a great job with it.
Thank you.
And then the key takeaways, as you mentioned here, are sandy soils, and Cypress Wetlands is definitely just a natural great project there that helps. And we've got a strong volunteer group that helps up there also. Continued stormwater system improvement and coordination, especially with Beaufort County and other municipalities, I think is going to be key. But excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Just really, I will ask, and maybe, if you can't answer this, just overall, how is the stormwater system, how's it working just overall?
Overall,
Or is
there are
that-
really limited flooding concerns,
Okay.
just because of higher elevations in the sandy soils.
That's good.
I think the particular area, maybe the hillside Casablanca area, just because it's landlocked,
Okay.
that could experience, but since there's sandy soils, it has to be an extreme event for that to really factor in up there. So I'd say overall, very good.
Okay.
Do we have old pipe in the ground, like old terracotta pipe or anything like that? Like really old 100-year-old pipe or anything?
So some of the pipe materials we're not able to verify without like a camera inspection. So when we're doing the modeling, we're assuming all pipes are functioning based on what we're gathering. So like one of the implementation is regular maintenance. That would be like a cleaning system.
Yeah.
So now that you have a GIS stormwater database, you could start sectioning areas that need to be looked at and cleaned. So, that's just kind of regular maintenance. Same for ditches, cleaning the ditches.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No. I was just gonna ask, and also I want to say, great job on the, West Paris.
Oh,
That
thanks.
did
Yeah.
sound great.
It's working.
Yeah, it is working. It turned out great. So when we're interacting with our partners at Beaufort County or SCDOT, and resources, funding is finite, what should we be advocating for when we talk with them? Should it be more pipes, ditch cleaning, more culverts, more structures? Like, if they say, because we can't do it all. So when we talk to them, what are the things that if we are pushing, we say, we really need this. We really need, these need to be priorities.
Yeah, so the
Maintenance.
Just maintenance?
maintenance, yeah. And whoever owns the pipe should be responsible for it.
Okay.
It is costly to do the maintenance, so, and I'm
So just
not-
keep pushing maintenance when we.
Yeah,
interact.
or the implementation is to set up a program, so, you're not gonna knock out 12 miles of pipe
Yeah.
in 1 year, but maybe you can start doing, 2,000 linear feet of pipe, and you just kind of keep rotating to different areas to make sure it's clean.
I noticed over off of where you and I met a couple of years ago, where that storm pumped that yard out.
Yeah.
They've gone in and cleaned out a lot of the ditches over there. That's off of, off of Lenore, Battery Park,
West Vine.
West Vine, Battery Park and all
Battery
that.
Park right there.
They've gone in and cleaned a lot of those ditches, which hopefully will make a, big difference.
Absolutely.
It's just good to know what we need to, because like I said, that's always you hear, we can't do it all, we don't got the funding, but if there's maintenance, we can just keep chirping on that, so.
And something that's come up recently, there's discussion by the DOT about turning roads over to counties, municipalities. You're not only getting the road,
Doing the headache.
Clean
you're
up
getting the
Drainage too.
outfalls, you're gonna get whatever pipes are in those right-of-ways, you're gonna
Getting
get
it
the whole
all.
shebang.
You
So
think
that's
we'll get-
something to keep in mind. We always think about resurfacing, but I can tell you that a lot of the outfalls that we deal with on Rebo Road, we're cleaning boxes out that we don't own, but we have to clean them out to keep water off of Rebo Road. And additionally, a lot of times there are no easements for those outfalls onto the adjoining private property, because they've been around for decades.
Yeah.
So that may be an issue that we inherit eventually.
If they do that, you think we'll get the gas tax revenues?
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay,
That's sarcasm.
yeah. Okay, all right. Any other questions from council?
No, great, excellent presentation, excellent information.
You guys do great work, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, rolling along. Up next, council briefing.
I'm going to juggle it a little bit from the list of items, because I've got Dean Moss here, and I provided y'all with a separate little memo discussing maybe a potential committee or
Yeah.
joint effort to kind of look at Spanish Moss Trail issues as they impact the fish camp, shell ring area, and how we kind of bring the eventual trail through the residential neighborhood and kind of connect these pieces that we're looking to put together. So, and he walked out on me. Okay. All right, well, we're gonna get him back in here in 1 second. I didn't realize he had left on me. But anyways, I'll cover speed humps real quickly, because you were just talking about Drayton and West Vine.
There he is.
We will be submitting the application with the council-approved or endorsement of those speed humps and submitting those to the SCDOT. I'm gonna ask that question to Michael Loves in here, but that's being worked on. We talked about that today. And now to have Dean back, I was telling him a little bit about how you've created this wonderful idea for us to all get together and discuss a potential committee to address trail and landscaping and land use issues for that area between the neighborhood, Shell Ring Fish Camp, and some of the adjoining properties.
Yeah, I think
Let's see if I can.
if you go there on a very busy Saturday afternoon, the place is jammed with cars on all ends. The restaurant, fish camp, and the parking now is starting to sprawl its way up beyond fish camp and down beyond the restaurant. When you guys get around to putting in your shrimp facility there in the middle lot between the two businesses, you're going to have to deal with that as well as, because that area is being used for parking.
Right.
So at some point, we're going to have to fit into that space, the road going through there, a trail, the parking. We're going to have a place for garbage disposal. I mean, right now, you've got dumpsters scattered around and they're a mess. So we're going to have some kind of a designated dumpster spot. So what I'm recommending, and there's not a crisis here, is that the town find a grant or something to be able to hire a landscape architect or an engineer, somebody that you're comfortable with doing this, and kind of sick them on that problem, and appoint a committee composed essentially of the folks that are involved in that area, and that would be the two restaurants and Fish Camp and the restaurant, the town itself, obviously, the trail, but get the people that are going to be affected by whatever decision has to be made there, and start a process of just trying to figure out exactly what we ought to do, because you're going to have major development on the marina end. You're going to have major development on the above end, which will be residential, and it'd be a really good idea to have that thing locked up as you go into it. And to me, once you've made that decision, council needs to say, this is how it's going to be.
Right.
We're not going to hear any more complaining. We're going to do it this way. When we tell you, you got to add this, or you got to put that, or you got to do it over here, You got to do it over here. How we figure out exactly who pays for it, how it gets done, I mean, all that's got to be figured out. But there needs to be, I think, a plan that you've approved that will basically tell us what we need to be doing over the next 3 to 4 to 5 years. I have no idea what the schedule is on either end, and neither do you, I don't think. But what do we need to do, have done in that area? Because there's so many things happening there that we've got to have some kind of a project.
I agree. There's a
I
lot
think we
going
ought to
on
get on that sooner than later.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, because you're right, at some point, there's gonna be a residential developer up there, and he's gonna have an idea, and they're gonna have an idea, and it'll be great for us to already have an idea to show them, and just be ready to go with that. So, I think that's a great idea, getting all those parties around. I'd like to be a part of that, you know, and so just how we get that going, find out who the the representatives of, you know, we'll get Fish Camp, Shelvering, and the trail bit. No, that's really, really good, because you're right, there is a lot going on there, and making it functional, you know, because it could turn into a mess, so.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
well, and while I got you up here, one other thing, which is the trail at Rebo. They're finalizing the exit section for Penders right now. So there's,
Yeah,
they've
that's great.
redone, there was a manhole there that was basically related to a lot of electronics and wiring and everything else underneath. That's been redone, or about to be finished redone. And then they'll get that thing open. The one thing I have had is a complaint from a number of people about the distance that they required the contractor to put the protective space. If you're standing there going across a trail, you've got a protected center space, and the concrete that's been poured, particularly on the uphill side, is going to make it very complicated for trailer trucks, basically, to get in and out of Penders, making that right turn to go downhill, to go toward Paris Island. So that's issue. It's not, I don't think it's our issue. I think it's going to be a fight between the county and DOT. I don't think it's going to be our problem to solve here, but just to let you know that is an issue that's starting to emerge.
Gotcha.
I've talked to Van about the stuff across the street. That is going to ultimately, a lot of the cleanup's already been done there with the contractor. There's more to do, and eventually we'll need to get, I'm encouraging him not to do it now until they get the trail open, till we're open and we're ready to, it's safe to use. But at some point, we're going to have to clean that section up and turn that section that goes up all the way up to the next street over to the landscapers, and treat it the same way we're treating everything else.
Right.
Other than that, it's gone great. I think I get comments on it all the time from people, so. And I know there are people that use it now and just take their chances, you know. They watch one lane come and get in the middle and when the other lane clears, they go across, so.
And with Pender Brothers, they moved the driveway.
They moved the exit lane.
Okay, the exit's
The
moved over.
entrance lane is still on
Gotcha.
the same place, but they
Okay.
moved the exit lane up.
I saw them doing that work, moving it over, okay.
But it's a right in, right out, correct?
Yeah, they are saying right in, right out. I mean, basically, my attitude is a trailer truck that needs to go to Paris Island, they're gonna do what they can to get it over there.
Yeah.
I mean, if the cops are there watching them, something will happen.
Unless they put a curb.
Those guys don't, they don't wanna have to go right and go up, find a place to turn around and then
Turn
come
all the
back.
way around.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and apparently, across the street, the property across the street, which is where the landscaper is now, it's been sold,
Okay.
and a contractor is coming in there. I can't remember the names, but I know that, at least according to Frank Eminger, that's what he told me, that those properties are starting to change hands. So,
Okay.
but anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
That's my
Great
idea,
work.
and thanks to Van for
Thank you for what you do.
telling me
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
he'd support it, so, thank you.
We're excited.
So, do we need a formal action to stand up a committee, or
Yeah, I
do we
think, yes,
just?
we should,
Okay.
some sort of council action, requesting the creation of that
Okay.
committee. If we can go as far as to name who we'd like to participate, maybe we can put that together between now and then.
Okay. I didn't know if that
And
was-
just kind of dovetail on that, we are also working on the other end of that project, where the end of the trail kind of stops at Appleton Road, which is the easement that gets those properties back to Ritter Circle. We scoped that out and met with Michael today, so I do have a drawing for that. We'll be talking to the contractor about doing this work as well. So it'll include signage, kind of resurfacing it out and opening it up as much as we can, realizing that we will have vehicle traffic, pedestrians, and bikes on that section as we get it into Ritter Circle.
Okay.
All right? Okay, I'll go back to the briefing. Michael touched on the villages a little bit. We did receive those bids today. We received 3 bids. We'll be evaluating the 3 we received and making sure they're qualifying bids. And we'll be asking for action from council on that. I know that the bids that we received were reasonable, and one is a little different than the other, so we're pleased that we received it, but we'll take action on that next week. Obviously, we just had the presentation on the master plan. All of you are welcome to take that document home and read it if you like. Just check it out, make sure you bring it back. Paris Avenue Streetscape grant, obviously, we're working with CDBG a little bit on that. We do have LOCO tied in on their contract. They've agreed to extend that bid through January, and we're still coordinating to make sure that we can get there. We've asked for some additional funding to kind of make up the difference from LOCOG in the state, the Department of Commerce. Obviously, we just dealt with the conceptual sewer master plan. Marshview Park, one of the grants has been completed. We're waiting on approval. We'll submit another grant that's due on December 5th for that park. It's very complicated when you're dealing with federal funds. We have to get clearances from whatever potential tribe might be impacted by this, as well as any sort of cultural assets. So we have to get these letters back from these organizations and then submit them as a larger package. So it's going to take some time. The second grant, even if successful, we wouldn't see the money until next October. So we'll have those things teed up. One good thing about it is the other federal grant will allow you to use CDBG as a match. So we'll see how much out of pocket that we'll have to have if we're successful getting both of those grants.
And we'll continue to keep it just cleaned up in the meantime.
We're going to keep it cleaned up, and people are using it kind of informally now.
Yeah.
Sands Beach Causeway, we're looking to add the shower rinse-off area. Kevin brought up some question about how about the removal of sand on the structure itself. We'll talk to Michael about that and see if there's something we can do about it. Whether sweeping it is a good thing or a bad thing, so.
Yeah, I didn't know, it's just starting to, you get on it,
Yeah.
just piling up.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
maybe that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. We met today with Buford Jasper to talk about utility conflicts on any of the projects. Obviously, splash pad, those have pretty much been resolved, and we're waiting for kind of final approval for them, but I think we're going to be able to move forward with that one very quickly. One of the other things that we're working on with Michael is this short-term rental and development permit GIS database. We feel like with the short-term rentals, we can do a little better job than we were getting with the software to kind of monitor those things. And when we finish the development permit GIS database, we will have an interface on our website that allow anybody, public, to come in, click on it, see what the scope of that project is, where it is in the permitting process, and what its potential units and impacts are.
Yeah, that'd be great. We talked about that at the retreat, so that's awesome.
All right. We did not receive the Big Idea grant, as Kevin pointed out. 2 cities with budgets 50 times ours received the $100,000 grant, so I'm sure they'll use it well, and it
I
will
think
have
one
such
was,
a fiscal impact on them.
one was Greenville,
Yeah.
and that Greenville had a budget of 150
Yeah,
million,
mhm.
and then I think North Augusta got the other one, and their budget's like 60, 70 million. So they got another $100,000
Yeah,
for it.
We kind
congratulations
of
to both
thought
of
they were
them.
going to get it anyway.
Money well spent. And I just mentioned to y'all the coordination with Ritter Circle that we're taking on, and I'll put this drawing in your folder so you can take a look at it. Naval Hospital sidewalk, I mean, the work is pretty much complete. They did get the exterior fence replaced. Obviously, silt fencing is still up. They did spray the hydroseed last week. Most of that is washed off the sidewalk and hopefully over into the grass side. I did reach out to the DOT about doing a ribbon cutting. We'll have to get with the appropriate personnel at the Naval Hospital to do that ribbon cutting. So that's pretty exciting.
Great.
Very exciting.
Yep,
Yeah, 5 years?
yep. To 2016. So,
Yeah.
9 years.
9 years,
years.
yeah.
Can I ask something with the, that Big Idea grant? Can we, and I'll do the same thing too, but just let's just keep an eye out, I mean, Noah did a great job putting that together, and now it's teed up, so if we see anything else that just might,
Yeah, insert
just-
here.
Yeah, I mean, we've got it ready now, so let's just keep it fresh. I mean, like I said, you did a great job putting that together. I don't want it to just kind of, just get forgotten. And if we can get some, attention and, like we talked about over there on Smilex and some improvements over there, that'd be great, so, yeah.
Safe Harbor, obviously, the conveyance documents are complete for Lot G, which is very exciting. We met with Safe Harbor to review some preliminary plan documents, so we're pleased with the progress they're making. I think we're moving towards that December deadline for the master plan to be complete, so that's good news. Obviously, we just discussed the kind of joint effort with the Friends of Spanish Moss Trail and the adjoining property owners, Fish Camp, Shell Ring, and some of the little piecemeal properties that are adjacent. I think those need to be included in that group, in that discussion, because they're integral to the promenade and the trail as we move forward, so they're going to need to be in that discussion.
And just so everyone's clear, when we talk about seeing a master plan at the end of the year, which I totally intend that's gonna happen, is that is just going to be, it's not including any residential area. It is just basically from Fish Camp down. Their intention still, and they continue to be with that, is to divest themselves of the residential area. So that will be planned and plotted and developed by whoever ultimately buys that and develops that residential area. So what we will be seeing at the end of the year will be basically everything except behind Shell Ring. So from Fish Camp down. So just so everyone knows what we'll be looking at when we get it.
Construction of the shrimp dock processing facility, we're working on those marine right waivers with Fish Camp. I have had discussions with the owner. They're looking at maybe adding some contingencies to the language in the waiver. I've been after him several times to get what he needs to see, to include that in anything that we submit to the Corps of Engineers. We have to have that done in order to extend that dock out in front of what is Fish Camp, because we're extending out in their property corridor that extends to the water. So I'll keep you posted on the progress there. Kirby, who had been working with us with ATM, has left the firm. We've been reassigned to a couple of folks with ATM. I think we're still in good hands, but it's unfortunate that Kirby has left them. So
Yeah.
we've been working with Kirby for more than a decade, to be honest with you,
Yeah, he was
with
great.
ATM. So. Cypress Wetlands, Dean was down here taking a look at some of the catch basins. We found some junk located in one of those catch basins. We were able to clean it out. He's working with our contractor on some sort of a collector of trash, if you will, to avoid some of that junk getting into those basins, because obviously we were lowering the water level to do some of that work. There will be some additional mowing to view corridors. Scott's been involved with those discussions. And obviously, Scott has been extremely helpful with working on some scoping out of the damaged trails and pathways, which we will eventually vote on this evening. Richmond Avenue situation, just a little bit of up to speed on that one. Obviously, things have calmed down in that area significantly. The court cases are making their way through the system, and I think the other portion of that problem is kind of taking care of itself. Capital sales tax. I gave y'all, I included the summary for last month, but it seems to be that the focus is going to be transportation related, and probably 2028 is we'll maybe see that question on the ballot. There may be some sort of advisory question asked in 26 to gauge public interest. We'll have to wait and see if that actually happens. But I think the mood of county council is something shorter in term, transportation focused, so that they can show results and make significant improvements more quickly. And I should have included this in the briefing, but I did want to mention that county council did endorse the idea of looking at the Parker's property at the intersection of Ladies Island Drive and Rebo Road,
Yep.
as well as maybe the AutoZone property or portion of the property, to maybe more quickly address the issues that we have at that intersection, so that we can make sure that that right turn movement is more free-flowing, and so it prevents the backups that we're seeing. Because right now it just bottlenecks. We've experimented with it with cones, but obviously the angles don't work for the larger trucks, so that's why it has to stop. So There's no plans. I haven't seen any grandiose drawing. There's no roundabout that I'm aware of or anything like that. It's just that they're exploring options to improve the intersection.
So this is the intersection formerly known as the most important intersection in northern Beaufort County.
Correct.
Correct. Yes. And still, not just formally, still.
Still known
Yeah,
as.
I was very happy to see them do that. That was a decision they made coming out of executive session last Monday. As you know, right there, that Parker's property has a big for sale sign on it, and I know this council and Council Ashmore, and we've always just kind of said, well, why don't you look at that? Why don't you look at that? Why don't you look at that? And then also that, is it an AutoZone or a Napa AutoZone or Napa, an auto store right there? And they've decided to look into those properties and see what they can do, and I think if they, we've already reached out to them, and I told them, thank you for that so much. And that's one of those, I think, decisions, if they can get those properties, it makes that penny tax more feasible, because now you actually have a real plan for that intersection. And it also, it'll be something that, it's very proactive. You'll look back and be glad that you did that, I think. So
be
hopefully that moves forward.
I'm gonna quote Alice by saying, she said, this was probably one of the best moments as an elected official to get to make this motion. And she gave thanks to the council, but also many thanks to Jared Felix and Michael Moore. I thought that was a step in the right direction.
And then, obviously, of interest to council is Christmas lights at Town Hall. Staff has been kind of excited about it. If you've noticed, we've already started decorating a little bit with some things in the windows. It's going to be probably a combination of staff taking that on. I think we have the ability to do it. We have some stuff down at Public Works that we haven't put out in quite some time, but it will be added to the building. So it will be decorated.
Nice.
And we'll
Yay.
make it as tacky as possible.
Perfect. Thank you very much for getting on that. That was something council kind of said to them, we talk about Christmas in Port Royal, and it's so great, and we love seeing the houses lit up, and this is, the people's house of Port Royal, so we kind of wanted to see if we could get it lit up as well, too. We have our great lights when you're coming down with the dolphins and the crabs and the shrimp, and I think it'd be great that down at the very center, at the very end of Town Hall, just having Town Hall really lit up well, and hopefully that kind of funnels out into the rest of the neighborhood. So.
Trees that were so pretty that time.
Yeah.
Those are really neat.
Well, thank you all for getting on, for doing that. That was something we kind of just sprung on them here recently, so.
Yeah, next item, not as much fun. We're still having ongoing issues with short-term rental operators and remittances by Airbnb to the town so that we can reconcile payment. As I've said 1,000 times, if we receive a check from Airbnb and it has no supporting documentation, we have no way to know which units that payment is being applied to. And so there is the ability of these operators to get a report generated on the Airbnb website. We actually sent one of the users to our attorney, who has a short-term rental and generates that report, and had him walk her through that process. So I don't know if we'll do a tutorial and post it somewhere, but, and I'll say this once again, we, the town, does not have a formal relationship with Airbnb.
Right.
They mail us a check. The operators are the ones that have the relationship with Airbnb. They are doing business together. They can request and ask their provider to give them the information they need by law to provide to us. They have the responsibility, according to our ordinance, to provide that report.
Right.
We do not provide the report. We cannot provide the report. It's proprietary, and we are not privy to that information.
Well,
So-
thanks for your help with
Yes.
the one this
Yeah.
week, and then connecting the resident with Airbnb.
Yes,
and
we will continue to do that. I understand their aggravation, but there's only so much we can do. They're the ones with the relationship with the vendor.
Yeah.
And they are the customer, and they should be more emphatic about
I understand.
getting the information they need.
Well, as you stated, if you call Airbnb and say, give us that private information on someone else, they're not going to give that to you.
No, and this has been going on for years.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
they're
first
being
letter I
very
got
taxed.
from Airbnb when I brought this up 4 years ago is, this is proprietary information, we're not required to give it to you.
Yeah.
Right.
But they can call and get it. or
Yeah,
They
they-
should be.
it's their information.
And then they can give it to you and keep.
And we did, we
having
had
to pay.
one that has provided that info, and it's great, and we can then apply that against the money that we
I
receive.
remember having this conversation before.
So if they do it, then they
Oh, yeah.
won't have to pay again, is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. And the next one is, and I'll let Kevin take this one, but this is some recognition we received from USCB.
Yep, so we got this, actually, a couple weeks ago. This was just kind of a surprise. I wanted to read it into here in our record. It came from the University of South Carolina, Beaufort, USCB here. It is in grateful recognition of the Town of Port Royal Town Council. For 2 decades, the steadfast partnership, visionary leadership, and unwavering support of the University of South Carolina, Beaufort, your commitment has empowered generation of students, enriched our community, and helped shape the future of higher education in the Lowcountry. With the deepest appreciation from the faculty, staff, students, and alumni of the University of South Carolina, Beaufort, Mr. Panu, the Chancellor. So again, this was sent to us, and I just kind of wanted to read that because, again, this is from the town, and I know we all really support USCB, so we just got this and just wanted to kind of share that with the rest of the town and read that into the record. So I'm sure we'll give that to staff and have it somewhere on display in the town. So thought that was really cool. So thank you very much, USCB.
All right, I'll go through the agenda. First, we have a proclamation declaring November 20th as World Pancreatic Cancer Day. We'll have somebody from their Action Network here to receive that proclamation. We'll have a few presentations, Beaufort County Single-Use Plastic Survey results. We'll have the Police Department promotions, as well as a very special swearing-in. I'm not sure how he's going to get his paw on the thing, but we'll see how that goes.
On that plastic survey results, is she gonna be doing the presentation?
Yes.
That was an excellent presentation. We did it at a meeting a couple weeks ago, Northern Regional meeting, and it was very informative. So I encourage everybody to be here for that. You'll like it. Sorry.
All right. Next is second readings, 2025-17, an ordinance to amend Ordinance 1-12, Chapter 2, Article 2, Division 1, Section 2-28, compensation of the Town of Port Royal Code of Ordinances for the purpose of amending council compensation. If you recall, during the budget workshops and the retreat, we wanted to analyze the council and mayor pay relative to our neighbors. It was determined that we would make the adjustment, which is in the ordinance, increasing the salaries to $12,000 for council members and $15,000 for the mayor. And so obviously we've had an election, and so we are now allowed by law to address that issue.
Great.
All right. Ordinance 2025-18, an ordinance to amend Articles 1, 7, 8, 9, and 10 of the Development Code of the Town of Port Royal, South Carolina. You know, we went through the multifamily kind of moratorium, so we wanted to address some issues, and then I think there were some additional issues. I know Noah went through most of those last month. I don't know if you want him to rehash those again now, but those are some small code tweaks that we wanted to put in place as a result of that review. All right, 25-19, an ordinance to repeal ordinance 2025-11, and to amend the business license ordinance of the Town of Port Royal to adopt the most current business license class schedule as required by Act 176 of 2020. This is to be done in accordance with the state law that was passed that revisited business license ordinances across the state, as well as affordability schedules and classifications. We are mandated to address those things annually, and this is what we are doing. All right. Important dates and information. First is Saturday, November 8th, the Faith and Blue Community Festival at Praise Assembly from 1 to 3. On November 10th, this is something George wanted to make sure that we mentioned, was the Marine Corps 250th birthday. So that was added. Oh, and it's the Port Royal United Methodist Church Fall Festival from 8 to 2 p.m. on November 8th as well. I'll make sure I included that one. Obviously, Tuesday, November 11th, our office will be closed in honor of Veterans Day. And then let's switch over on Saturday, November 15th. We'll have our third annual holiday market on Paris Avenue from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thursday, November 20th, Historic Port Royal Foundation third Thursday at Live Oak Park from 5:30 to 7:30. Monday, November 24th, Planning Commission meeting at 5 p.m. And then Thursday and Friday, November 27th, 28th, we will be closed for Thanksgiving holiday. That's all I got.
Historic Penn Center Annual Heritage Celebration, 6th through the 8th.
Did you get that?
What date was that? Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Penn Center's Heritage Festival
This weekend.
this weekend.
All right, and then we have one action item for y'all this evening. This is approval of the contract with Cypress Wetlands Pathways. As you know, we reissued the RFP for the work. We received 2 bids. Staff is recommending Frontier contract with a bid of $78,702. Scott prepared a spreadsheet, which I included in your folders, kind of going over the bids and how they qualified and what that information was. And so we are recommending approval.
Did you want to say anything, Scott, about what this will entail?
You sure I can. So the biggest issue is addressing the drainage at the YMCA. So we're effectively doing that by pretty much catching it at the downspouts and piping it underneath the what will be the new trail at that point. And we're starting at the contract will be starting at 17th Street and working their way around. So they'll be working on the drainage area, getting that done while they're working on the sidewalk, which is going to go past the first bump out of the YMCA, which is the fitness center. Work's going to start, well, that's assuming everything goes well here. Work will start within 2 weeks, probably quicker. And he says 2 weeks to complete, but it'll be quicker than that too. I bet you he's done in 7 days.
Great.
Okay. Also, I wanted to mention one thing. I've mentioned it to a couple of you. I'm applying for, on behalf of the town, I'm applying for a $100,000 grant with South Carolina Parks, Recreation, and Trails to complete the rest of the pathway. Next, it'll be awarded if we're granted, it'll be granted in March. The funds will be available in June, but because of the birds, we won't start until probably September or October of next year. And hopefully, if we get the funds we've requested, we should be able to, with matching funds from the town, 20% match from the town, we should be able to do the whole thing.
Very nice.
You said we have a meeting on that?
I'm sorry?
Read.
Oh, yes, thank you. And I've gotten with Sean too. One of the requirements for the application is we have to do a public meeting, and it has to be advertised at least 2 weeks prior to that meeting. So I'll be working with Lisa and Sean on that. And then hopefully we can schedule the public meeting either prior to or after the council meeting. I know we're not having a workshop in December, but after the council meeting, before or after the council meeting, that's up to you guys on how you want to do that.
Make that happen. That'd be great. Yeah.
Yep,
Okay?
Great.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you
Scott.
for
All right. Got any questions or comments from?
No, it's been a very thorough meeting.
Need a motion to approve that.
Yep, I was saying if anybody had any questions or comments about the path before we.
Yeah, he was not.
Anybody? You good? All
I'm
right.
good.
I'll entertain a motion that we approve the staff recommended contract for the Cypress Wetlands
I make a
Pathway.
motion to approve the staff recommended contract for Cypress Wetlands Pathway.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Done.
Okay. Up next, public comment, and I have one from the lovely Miss Margot Ellis. Please, come on down. How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Good.
Good evening. My name is Margot Ellis,
Yes.
and I'm a Marine veteran who spent her career advising leaders, including the Secretary of the Department of Veterans Affairs and members of Congress. I came home to Beaufort to serve again, this time as a consultant focused on strengthening our local institutions and systems. I'm requesting consideration for a 4-month leadership and resilience training contract with Beaufort Memorial Hospital and the Port Royal Police Department. This isn't a speech about blame, it's about capacity. Our town already honors the 22 veterans we lose each day to suicide with speed limits set to 22 miles per hour. That symbolism matters, but we also need structure, processes that prevent our veterans from slipping through the cracks. Here's what Beaufort stands to gain. For our town, measurable reduction in crisis calls involving veterans and a stronger public image as a national model for veteran care. For the police, advanced leadership training that improves judgment under pressure, strengthens community trust, and reduces liability exposure. For Beaufort Memorial, improved coordination with VA and local veteran service organizations to prevent readmissions and save lives. And for the council, data-driven results you can show to taxpayers, proof that Beaufort backs the men and women who serve this nation. My proposed framework draws on Marine Corps principles and federal leadership best practices. It focuses on command calm, empathy under stress, and interagency collaboration, skills that make every part of the government stronger, not just veteran services. I believe Beaufort can lead not just the Low Country, but the nation in how we care for those who wore the uniform. Thank you for hearing me and for your continued commitment to treating our veterans with dignity they've earned.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Question?
Thank you, Margot. I don't have any questions. I would, I think that's a great cause and a great thing to mention as well, too, with us being a veteran community. I would just direct you, we've got chiefs in the back, and maybe kind of, spark up that conversation. I'm sure he would entertain that and see where it goes. So, yeah, thank you for being here. All right. With that being said, I have no more public comments. Anyone else? Any public comments? Any council comments?
Yeah, I got a couple. First off, I want to ask the chief, could you provide us an update of Deputy Chief Massey and how his journey's going?
I actually just talked to him today.
Good, we'd like to hear about that.
He's doing great. He'll be home for Thanksgiving for a week or on break. He successfully ran a 5K today.
Wow.
He was very sore. Most of his papers are done. All the classes that he takes are master level classes. So he's ahead of the game. Most of his papers are done. He's got 2 more tests, I think. But he's doing great. Actually, I told him, it's funny you asked that. I said, send me some pictures so we can put an update on Facebook. He's supposed to do that this weekend.
Oh,
Good.
So he's doing great. He's on it.
Good.
Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that.
Absolutely.
I saw some pictures. He was looking good up there in that ceremony he was involved in. Yeah.
He's having a lot of fun. He said he's learning a lot and making a lot of connections. And he said he's got like 278 PowerPoints already for the bank.
Wow.
Good. Very
I
good.
wish you
We'll
luck.
put that on Facebook.
Awesome. And then next comment was, I just want to recognize Chief and our mayor. You may have noticed that they've got a new hair fashion here. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there was an organization, a young lady in town named Jay Weimeringer, I always get her last name wrong.
Weinmiller.
Weinmiller, there we go. She reached out to us, it was her 30th birthday, she was challenging everyone to raise $30,000 for the St. Baldrick Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization that raises money for childhood cancer research with a goal of, finding a cure and helping out with those families and those children. So they had a fundraiser, it was called Buzz and Brews on Sunday at Shellring. I think, I don't know, probably 40 people were there getting their heads shaved. We had Chief leading the way with multiple officers that jumped in and did that. Myself, Mayor Phil Cromer, Dusty Vickers, Commodore of the 70th Waterfest coming up, he did that, but just also a load of other people kind of raised their own funds, raised their own money, and for the St. Baldrick Foundation. It was a lot of fun, and it doesn't look that bad, I don't think, so, but, yeah.
And he's being modest too, because his brother-in-law jumped in and did it.
Oh, yeah.
And then his nephew decided that he
Troy
wanted to
got
be
up
like
in
his
there?
Troy
daddy.
did, yeah.
Troy did it too.
Troy was just like, I want a haircut, so he got in there.
Definitely looks better. You were looking pretty good.
Thank you. Yeah. So, like I said, we'll see if it grows back, but yeah,
But I thought that was great.
it was fun.
He wanted to do what they were doing.
And it was great to see Chief and a couple of your
His
guys out
crew.
there too. Yeah.
Last
It was
comment was, yesterday was election day, and I just wanted to say congratulations to Councilman Marybeth and Councilman Darrell. Congratulations, look forward to continue working with you and, moving forward on the things that we've got going on here.
Thank you.
That's all I've got, sir.
Councilman.
Yeah, I think I'll send a special shout out to Kappa as well, since they're housed here in Port Royal. I was fortunate to have volunteered for 9 nights, evenings for the
look
last
great.
month for their fundraiser. Go on the ghost tours, carriage and walking tours, and we had a reception last night, an appreciation reception, and they raised just shy of $50,000. And all that money stays right here in Beaufort for a worthy cause for children that have been abused, and Just again, it was a great cause. I enjoyed it. It was very exhilarating playing Robert Smalls. And I just wanted to give them a special shout out. So if you're ever in the area, and this is the time of the season that we're approaching right now, there are great causes right here in Beaufort that, that really needs our support.
Absolutely. You did look good, though. It was great.
Yeah, it was different.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I don't have anything. I'm just so excited. We're all back here and gonna have a great next 4 years, finish up some big projects, and we're looking forward to serving the people. We are the voice and the listener over here.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all
Absolutely.
for having the confidence and trust in us.
Yeah, and absolutely that. Just thank you to everyone that came out and voted. I know it's sometimes, off year, not a lot on the ballot, but it is very important. So everyone that did come out and vote, we just really appreciate for being involved and engaging in the democratic process. So one thing that is fun, I don't know if you saw the paper today, and Councilman Ashmore already pointed it out here, but there's another headline. If you look at the paper, Port Royal voters pick familiar faces on Tuesday's town council. Daryl Owens here. If you go up, pro baller Owens from Port Royal is living his dream. Next stop, Dubai. So this is, of course, Councilman Owens' son, and he's got an article in the paper today as well, too. And so I thought that was pretty cool, like you said, Jerry, to have a father and son both in the paper on the same day. So
I love that it said Port Royal.
it did, I know. Pro
That's right.
baller Owens from
From Port Royal,
is
that's
living
right.
his dream.
Born and raised in
I
Port
just thought
Royal.
that was the greatest thing, man.
That was
Life
really
is
cool.
good, man.
Yep. And then one more thing I'll just say on a more serious note, and we do know everybody sees the news. We do have a federal government that is still currently shut down. That's affecting a lot of people in all kinds of ways. And so I would just encourage anybody that if you had the ability, if you're listening to us, if you can, Help of Beaufort is right here in our local community, also with some of our churches here. I know the Methodist Church, many of our churches have food banks. They do food services for people, but again, Help of Beaufort, there's a lot of options to give around here. So if you're able to, I would just encourage everybody to try to just make an effort, light hands, many hands make light work. So if everybody can just do a little bit, who knows, how far that can go. So just something to keep in mind as you're going out and you're going to the grocery store. Again, if you can, pick up a few extra items and just drop them off somewhere and see if you can't. Just, like I said, something to keep in your mind. Just wanted to mention that.
And Pastor Ann did tell us yesterday also, they have a weekly distribution also, and she said if anyone's available, all hands on deck, they have.
Is it the Methodist Church?
Yeah,
Right,
Tuesday
so-
On 16th Street, Port Royal
I
Methodist.
live across the street from it, and it is packed.
Yeah, okay, and
She said
of
it
course.
starts at 9 and it is
It
packed
starts
at
earlier than that.
6 o'clock.
Okay,
They get
so-
There are
lined
people
up.
lining up
So
early.
if you want to
It's more than one day
assist.
wait there, but busy.
That is, absolutely. We're in November. It's the month of Thanksgiving. So again, if you're able to help, if you're able to give, I would encourage you to. You won't regret it. So with that, anything else from council?
No, it's a good meeting.
Yes, sir. I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for being here. Absolutely.